Fantasy Rap
with Austin and Ozzy.
Oh, I just love those boys.
Hey everyone, this is Fantasy Rap, and I'm your host Ozzy.
And I'm your co-host Austin.
You can find us on fantasyrap.com. That is fantasywrap.com. Hey everybody, welcome to the intro to Week 11. First, we are going to have P's Picks. Hi everybody, welcome to P's Picks. Hi P. How are ya? Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what we're going to do today?
Yeah.
What are we doing? P's Picks?
Can you say peace picks?
Yeah.
You say it loud.
Okay, so today we've got the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. Sutton, who should we talk about?
No.
Well, which one? Yeah, they got crumbled last night, didn't they? Both teams.
Yeah. All right.
Who do you like?
Pick one of them.
Okay, we're going to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals.
Say the Bengals.
Bengals.
Yeah.
Very good. Can you go, look up there and wave and say, see you later?
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Papa.
And as you saw from P's Picks, we are going to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. Any thoughts on the game overall last night, other than the fact that
Yeah.
two of your starters are out for the
Yep.
season?
Joe Burrow and Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Like we talked about Wednesday, I've truly lost any hope for the season last week. So, yeah, just I won't use the word I did in the text to you. What a a perfect ending to a crappy fantasy season.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
That was, yeah.
And then Beckham got hurt, banged up a little bit too.
I didn't notice. All I know is, you're getting kicked while you're down.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, if karma's real, I'm winning a championship next year.
Next year, yeah. Yeah, so, we can, it wasn't much of a game.
No.
And Burrow, there's going to be an investigation into Cincinnati, obviously, because he was injured before the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't list him.
Yeah,
and
disclose.
Right.
Similar to the Bijan with the illness a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
but
this is going to be
more,
probably a lot bigger.
Yeah.
I don't know how badly they'll get fined, but they will get fined.
Yeah.
But moving on to the stats, you had Burrow, who was 11 of 17 for 101 yards and a touchdown and one rush for 7 yards, and then he couldn't throw the ball, couldn't grip the ball. So Browning came in and was 8 for 14 for 68 yards, a touchdown, ran 4 times for 40 yards.
Yeah, not bad.
Not a horrible stat line.
Baltimore,
Right.
Who at that point, Burrow goes down, there's blood in the water.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
He
Here's
came
this.
in and did all right.
Here's this. Is he undrafted?
I honestly,
I
didn't
think
know
they were
who,
saying he
I
was-
didn't know who the Bengals backup was until.
Well, he got
came
a
in,
lot of
but
play during the preseason.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was a guy who hadn't worked with the first stringers at all.
Yeah.
So he had. Mixon, he was 5 of 5 for 31 yards and a touchdown and 16 rushes for 69 yards. Not exactly huge numbers on rushing. But
Yeah, again, against Baltimore, who I think statistically is like the number 1 or the number 2 overall rated defense this season. So he's been better over the last couple of weeks. He was, obviously the whole offense was down because of the Burrow calf injury, but I think he's going to be, well, we'll see what they do with Browning. He'll have a full week coming into next week's game.
10 days.
Yeah, 10 days. So, they'll get him as ready as possible.
Yeah,
but I
I'm
think
guessing
it'll
you're going to
probably
pick
be-
him up.
No, I went and just just put Mark Andrews in the IR last night for next week. I was able to, I can move stuff around like that
Okay.
in our league. So, because at that point they hadn't said that he was,
Right.
Like I was just reading before, his is a fractured
fibula.
fibula and a ankle injury, whatever, probably high. The whole thing's screwed.
Yeah.
So long term, but yeah.
Yeah. I snapped off about yay much of my fibula when I broke my ankle, and
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
other than it was 6 weeks before I could get back on skates, and
Yeah.
maybe he's back. It really depends on whether or not he needs any pins in that thing.
Yeah, I think from what it sounds like, it's pretty certain that he's just done for the season.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you're in, like I said, my position, you could go get Isaiah Likely. I didn't because Pat Fryermuth was sitting on the waivers and he practiced today.
Is he? So he's coming back
yes,
from
should be back this week.
IR.
Yeah, so I just picked him up. It was between him and like Likely, Gerald Everett, guys like that. I think the youth will have maybe be a little better now that Steelers offense is.
You should
has
go
been
pick up
playing
Trey
better.
McBride like we listed on our.
I should have, but he got picked up. He was sitting on a bench for like 3 weeks prior. So,
Wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Moving on, we have you could pick up this guy, Hudson. Tanner
Yeah.
Hudson.
I have no idea.
I think it was Tanner
what
Hudson.
happened to Irv Smith?
He-
Remember we were talking about him,
Yeah.
preseason, if he's healthy, he's a big athletic guy, could be super involved.
They had 4 active tight ends. Irv Smith being one, Drew Sample, Tanner Hudson, and I don't recall who the 4th one was.
Tyler Eifert still.
Yes, it might have been Tyler Eifert. But Hudson was 4 catches on 4 targets for 49 yards.
It's not bad.
It's funny because prior to like 2 weeks ago, he had not, I don't think he had ever caught a pro pass. And he has had like 20 targets in the last 3 weeks.
Oh, so he's actually gotten targets.
Yeah.
I was going to liken that to the where I needed a Diggs touchdown a couple of weeks ago and they threw it to the 3rd string tight end who had never caught that was his first pass.
And this guy
target.
guy is similar to that.
Targets,
He just all of a sudden he made some nice catches too.
Yeah.
I mean, he really did. He actually looks like a decent tight end. And unlike Irv Smith, who was always injured, if he's getting the playing time and he's getting some targets, who knows?
Yeah.
Next up, we have Irwin. He was 3 catches on 5 targets for 36 yards. And you notice there's not a lot of, they had 169 passing yards. So you can see where we're going with this. I wrote down a lot of guys because nobody really did much other than really Mixon. Next up, we had Tyler Boyd, who was 3 catches on 6 targets for 22 yards. And then we have Jamar Chase, who had 2 catches on 7 targets for 12 whole yards. And what saved him was the touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see for Jamar Chase. Obviously, those owners was probably their first for their team, their first round pick.
Yep.
Especially, he was anywhere from pick 4 to 6. I feel like he was probably in there, if not even earlier in some cases.
Right.
People were beginning of the year there. Some mock drafts and stuff, and hearing of other leagues of people taking Jamar Chase as the first receiver this season.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Which again, if Burrow had come in healthy and everything, it
And
could have
stayed
been
healthy.
a possibility because he had Chase had a monster game a couple weeks ago. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and he's had a couple of them this year. But this is pretty much an across the board, other than Mixon, and Browning obviously is a major uptick because he went from nothing to seeing the field
for the rest of the season.
But outside of Mixon, I can't. Until Browning shows that he can be a quarterback in the NFL and actually lead a team.
It's the same situation that the Browns are in right now. I know back to the one the other night we were talking about PJ Walker. The Browns are actually starting Dorian Thompson-Robinson or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So rookie out of UCLA.
Yep, DTR.
Super athletic and had a huge college career at UCLA. Actually was a really good passer. And they've got time to, they've known about it for a while. So he's had pretty much all week probably to get ready. But it's the same situation where it's a wait and see. I'm benching Amari Cooper. I've got Jerome Ford. It's a decent matchup. So he's in because they seem to trust him. So
It's funny because in our Dynasty League, someone jumped at PJ Walker. And then all of a sudden I'm looking through and I'm like, why are
DTR?
Yeah, I wonder why is he not starting Walker? Oh, I mean he's starting a tight end in his
Super
Superflex.
Yeah.
And he's got another quarterback.
Oh, interesting.
But he also started T. Higgins. So you know who our loser of the
ruled.
week is probably going to be? A guy who starts T. Higgins when he's out.
Who had been ruled out for
Right.
pretty much all week.
Yep.
Yeah.
So moving on to our picks of the week. At quarterback, we've got the top 6 are Tua, Mahomes, Stroud, Goff, Jackson, and Dak. And I sat Jackson in our Superflex Dynasty.
Oh, yeah. And he actually had a good week.
Yeah, of course. Isn't that how it usually goes? So I'm going with Hurts if he plays against KC at KC. Monday night game. Big game.
Yeah, that will be a good game.
You know,
And Casey's defense has been
they have.
even in bad matchups for defenses, they've been pretty good.
Right. But,
Yeah.
you know, Hurts is almost always good for one of the butt
yeah.
pushes. Or
Yeah.
what's it called?
Tush push.
Tush
No,
pushes.
sorry, the brotherly shove.
The brotherly shove. Where'd you hear that one?
That's what they've been calling it for
Okay,
a while.
brotherly
The
shove. Okay.
The brotherly shove. It was the tush push, and then it got changed.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's just, you know that it's, well, I suppose you don't know if it's going to be a high-scoring game because Kansas City's offense has not been that good.
Yeah.
Philly's offense also has not been that good, great. So, but they're still winning their games. So I'm guessing that it's going to be more of a passing than a running game.
Yeah. Probably. And coming off a bye, right? Eagles coming off the bye, I believe. So, probably been preparing for 2 weeks now for Kansas City. So,
Right. Well, Kansas City was on the bye too.
Oh, that's right.
And Miami. I forget who the fourth one was, but
yeah. Who the fourth one was.
Yeah, which is why I had to pick up quarterback Sam Howell last week because I had Tua and Hurts both on the bench.
Yeah, did you know that I think it's Sam Howell is number 2 for passing yardage so far in the,
No. 1.
Is he one over?
Yeah, he's 1 in passing yardage on the year.
Crazy.
Yeah. Sam Howell.
Yeah.
What, 5th round draft pick a year ago?
That sounds right.
I mean, I don't know why I ended up taking him, because we got through our draft last year, the rookie draft, and I sat there and I went, well, Sam Howell, he's the heir apparent in Washington, and they say they like him. I'm going to throw him on my taxi squad.
Yep.
And now he's one of my 3 starters.
Yeah, he's had some down. Of course, week I have to pick him up to stream him for a Joe Burrow bye, and he has probably his worst game.
I played him.
That was
I played him that week.
Yeah.
Instead of a C.J. Stroud blow up.
Yep. So, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Brock Purdy.
I like your thinking
this week. Another one of your quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He's been playing really good. Debo should be back fully healthy this week, and when Purdy has all of his options, he's been very good. He's been very consistent. However your quarterback scoring, like in our main redraft league, when everybody's healthy in there, he's basically guaranteed you're getting 20 points out of them. Basically guaranteed.
6-point touchdowns or
6-point rushing for passing. Yes.
Okay.
So
pretty much the standard.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't, like I've said before, I don't like leagues where anyone gives 6 points for a passing team.
Yeah.
Because you get such variance.
Yeah, you get the yardage. Like if they throw over 350 yards or whatever, you get a point or 2, and then big long 40+ yard touchdowns get a point, and then like 80 yard plus or whatever get like 2 points. You get a multiplier kind of thing.
Yep.
So but San Francisco, they're defense showed up. Granted, Jacksonville has been struggling last week, but I mean, they had a couple tough losses before their bye, and that roster,
3, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Minnesota, Cleveland, and then oh man, I don't remember who beat No, not the Chargers. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it was 3. So
It wasn't Denver, was it?
No, I don't think so. But yeah, like I said, team like that, roster like that, got the head coach. I mean, they're going to be chomping at the bit for this game. And I honestly, I don't even remember the matchup off the top of my head, who they're playing. But it's going to be rough.
I don't remember either.
Yeah.
But yeah, all around.
Yeah.
Moving on to our running backs, we've got CMC, ETN, Breece Hall, Brian Robinson, Mostert if he plays, and Eckler. So I went Kenneth Walker at the Rams. I just, he's been having, he's had a good year, a fairly good year, and the matchup is decent.
Yeah.
I was, I'm surprised by some of these that are on here, but
yeah, and well, I mean, ETN's been amazing,
except for last week.
CMC obviously at the top. Breece Hall, I mean, they must have a really good matchup this week. I don't remember who the Jets are playing.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, I don't remember. Man, I'm drawing a blank on a lot. Usually I know this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Walker.
Well, they're playing the Bengals or the Ravens.
Correct, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, Walker's been good. It's been a little more 50-50 with him and Charbonnet.
Right.
But, Rams, who should have Stafford back this week, which boosts them, they're going to need, Seattle's going to need to score some points.
Yeah.
So it's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, and you can't tell if Lockett's going to play because he's been injured, and so
yeah, that's true. So yeah, like I said, somebody's got to step up there. So I am last chance Hail Mary because of the history of this matchup, but I am going to go with King Henry against Jacksonville, who has, like I said, historically has mopped the floor with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm hoping that happens again. Not that it really matters for my season, but it'd be nice to see, have him. Because, like I said, it's probably his last year in Tennessee. He's a free agent.
Yeah.
He's probably going to go somewhere where he can be, a 1B even, or like a Dallas situation with Tony Pollard, where those guys are just both the ones and they split it. But
do you see that? I mean, it's interesting as these running backs get older. I mean, and Dalvin Cook, far from old, isn't he? A couple years younger than 3 years youher than Derrick Henry.
He's got,
and
I think he's like 28, so he's like my age.
Yeah,
if that even.
So he went
to about that.
Went to the Jets and doesn't play. Zeke is the second option, albeit a good option, but I mean, Derrick Henry, I don't know that he'll necessarily start anywhere.
Yeah, well, the thing with those three guys is they're not that old, but the mileage makes them that old.
Right. Tons of care. Well,
Derrick Henry for sure. I mean, and then even Zeke in his prime.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook too, very high usage, running back. So, but yeah, I'd like to see it. You want to see one of those vintage, 180 plus rush yards and at least one touchdown out of Derrick Henry with like 2 big runs. Like you just kind of want to see it. He's been decent enough. He's actually number 2 in rushing for the league right now behind CMC. He's he's like 150 yards behind CMC, but he's number 2 for rushing right now. But it's been very lackluster, not fun to watch.
Well, and
because like I was ranting, our last episode about how they use him versus Tajay Spears.
Right. He had 11 carries last week,
and it's against a stacked box because the formation is it's a tight formation and they're just running. That's
off
poor, the center or the guard.
That's poor coaching in my mind. it's like I've always said, if you spread it out, yes, you have fewer guys to put on players, but if you spread it out, you're assured of 3 or 4 guys spreading out with them. So if you get 4 guys outside and maybe a safety who's, he might even be a little low, but at least you have a chance of going.
It freezes them for that, especially that, if you got a free safety just lurking, it freezes them. Same with the linebackers.
Right.
It freezes them for that second that allows the play to develop a little bit more. But like I said, instead all they're doing is just turning around. Will Levis just turning around, and there's Derrick Henry, and the defense knows exactly what's going to happen.
Right. And don't try any play action.
Yeah. Well, the thing too with Derrick Henry is his knock has always been that he doesn't catch that many passes or hardly any passes. Well, last year he was catching quite a few passes.
Right.
He's actually a pretty good pass catching running back, and they just refuse. I mean, even before Tajay Spears was there, like I said last year, but years prior, he'd have 320 carries on a season, but then he'd have like 40 targets, So, like I said, I just want to see it one more time.
I agree.
Bit of,
Nostalgia.
jealousy and, a little bit of bias having him on my team. But yeah,
Well,
everybody, it's good for the league when Derrick Henry
it is.
stiff arms a dude into, the Earth's surface.
Right, yeah, right into the into the ground. The guy has been a favorite for how many years? I'd like to see him finish strong and hopefully, find a spot that he can excel at next year.
Like I said, too, last episode, his playoff schedule is one of the best for running backs, too. So, if he pops this week, maybe they go, oh, yeah, maybe he's still got a little bit left, or, we got some better matchups coming. So, he could be a guy who you coast through the playoffs, or he could be, last second addition to a team and maybe he blows up at the end of the year. I don't know. I'm just, just saying, when you're looking ahead, if you're on the bubble, like I said, he's a guy that, schedule-wise looks pretty good.
Yep. So moving to our wide receivers, we've got Tyreek, CeeDee Lamb, Amon Ra. Amon Ra should be a god, right? One of those.
Technically, yes.
Okay.
He is.
Yeah.
Amon Ra is
Amon Ra.
Egyptian god.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's a god.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, who already played, and Jalen Waddle. And I was going to go
Dolphins in the top.
And I was going to go, well, they're playing against Las Vegas. I was going to go Jalen Waddle, but then I noticed that Jalen Waddle was the 6th choice. So I went with A.J. Brown. Yeah, I know. It
was outside of our criteria, and it was probably, 7?
Probably. And on my list, he was like 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. So, again, if they're going to beat Kansas City, A.J. Brown is going to have a big night along with Hurts.
Yes.
And, there's yes, they've had a good defense, but have they played really, really good offenses like this? I don't know that they have that much.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they've had some decent, a couple good matchups. Obviously, I'm sure they've played the Cowboys this season. I feel like they always do, don't they?
Who?
The Eagles.
No, I was talking about Kansas City and their defense.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the Kansas City defense has had such a tough...
Like a real test.
Yeah. I think this will be one of their toughest.
They played Miami, was that 2 weeks ago in London? Or no, Germany? Germany. Yeah, and Miami, in a tougher, against a tougher defense, Miami tends to not show up.
Right.
So, yeah. A.J. Brown, monster. He was doing what CeeDee Lamb was doing, in the beginning, middle part of the season here, and now it's CeeDee Lamb doing it. So, if they want to win and beat KC, that's how you do it. So,
yep.
If he plays, kind of no-brainer, even with not having Kirk Cousins, it's Justin Jefferson. If he plays. It sounds like he's going to. And Josh Dobbs has been probably over the last 3 weeks outside of Dak Prescott has probably been the best fantasy quarterback, which is crazy.
outside of C.J. Stroud, maybe
Oh,
too.
well, yeah. Yeah. So those three guys, yeah.
Yeah.
If you said you had Dak Prescott, then Josh Dobbs, who's been on like 10 different NFL rosters
This week.
and and a rookie who's in the MVP conversation.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean JJ, they've been, like I said, they've been winning games. Offense still looks pretty good. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if Madison plays. Last I saw, he had not practiced. That was, I think, yesterday when I looked.
Yeah, I think that probably rules him out.
Yeah, and that's kind of been, like we talked about, early. That's
Tyson Chandler.
Yeah, but the kind of the standard now for concussed players, even if they clear, they usually skip a week, just because of what happened last season with Tua.
Yeah.
So Justin Jefferson, pretty easy. If he doesn't play, I agree with you on the A.J. Brown one. So
Yeah, of course you do.
yeah.
Moving on to tight end, we've got Andrews was listed first, and as we know, his season is over with.
That sucked too, because that was that first drive, two targets, 2 catches.
Yeah, and
deep into, like, if that guy hadn't, the way he tackled him, which people are obviously, you see it all over Facebook, like, oh, the guy's a dirty player, and
I don't like
the hip drop.
Yeah.
But,
he did the same thing on Lamar at the sideline.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people calling, like,
But-
somebody was like, oh, the NFL needs to just step in and look at his tape and probably fine him. And it's
Well,
like,
I don't
no,
think you find him. I don't think he's trying to hurt someone.
It's
If
illegal.
Right.
There's nothing in the rule book against it. It's not like a horse collar. So,
Right.
Yeah.
But maybe they make it illegal. I mean, you look at all the years that however you wanted to tackle a quarterback was legal. And then they put the Clay Matthews rule in place. But you can't land on him.
Yeah.
You can't go with full force down on him. And they're still calling it. And you sit there and you go, I get it, especially if it's Pierce that's landing on you. What is he, 355 pounds?
Yeah, something.
He's a big man. I joked about possibly being a quarterback because my hands are big enough and blah blah blah. I would not want him landing on me. That is like 2 times my size.
Imagine the guy that comes to mind is like Vince Wilfork.
Yeah.
And like Haloti Ngata.
Yeah.
Oh my, that dude was a unit as well.
How about you probably don't. Nah, never mind. That early, 20 years ago with the Packers. Can't think of his name, but he was not B.J. Raji. Maybe B.J. Raji.
I have his jersey. I got a Raji jersey.
I think it was another guy too.
Yeah.
Those 325-pound plus guys that are just landing on top of a quarterback and they're sitting there going, "Oh, can't breathe."
Yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, Andrews, that sucks because I think he was in line for he's historically too has usually beat up on the Bengals, and the Bengals are like the best. If you got a tight end, if you're streaming a tight end, and that you need one, look for the Bengals matchup because they're not good against tight ends. So that one sucks, and obviously it sucks for Andrews too, and the Ravens because they're they won, but you're without your best pass catcher,
Right.
So
right. Yeah, it was like I said, it was just an injury filled game with guys coming in and out, and then we go to Kelsey. Wait, Travis Kelsey.
Swift.
Yeah. Swift. Laporta, Kittle, Kmet, and Dalton Schultz. So I'm going with the guy who seems to have week in, week out, top 3 or 4. I think he's second in the league.
That would make sense.
In tight end scoring, and that is Hawkinson.
Yeah.
Especially if JJ comes back.
Yeah, because JJ will see Surtain a lot like they did against Buffalo with Surtain on Diggs and basically taking him out of the equation. But, JJ with that hamstring, I'm sure they probably gave him an extra week, if not 2 weeks of rest, more than they probably needed to, just to make sure. Because that's a lot of money. Well, actually, no, not a lot of money tied up. I was going to say, yeah, you just assume so. But, if they, extend him or re-sign him,
Right.
That's going to be a crap load of
Yeah,
money tied
yeah.
up. So
Yeah,
you
my
want
guess-
to make sure that he's,
My guess he gets number one money.
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, now there's seeing that with Dobbs playing the way he is. They're like, oh well, Kirk Cousins, let him walk.
Right.
We'll stick with Dobbs,
And I'm
it's like,
sure that.
There's
and I'm-
also, Dobbs is playing out of his mind, but there's a reason why he's been bouncing around rosters.
I'm also sure that JJ just rushes forward to sign his extension with Dobbs, as opposed to
Kirk. Yeah.
not going to happen.
Yep.
So I think Hawkinson's got a decent matchup, and he sees 8, 10, 12, 14 targets a week. What's not to like about it? Like I said, especially if JJ is playing and draws more attention, and Addison has been playing well.
Yep. I think KJ Osborne has practiced this week, so he'll probably be back as well.
Okay.
So,
that always bodes well for Hawkinson.
yeah.
I mean, I could see a monster week out of him.
Yeah. So, I'm just going to, that's my pick too. It's just, best matchup, best situation, like we talked about with a quarterback and an elite weapon coming back, and, Madison potentially out, and Ty Chandler, who, they seem to really like there, but I doubt he's going to see true workhorse load, against Denver. But it's just a kind of a perfect storm for another huge week on Hawkinson.
Yeah. I actually, and it wasn't overly close, but I could see him coming closer to Kelsey numbers. I mean, catching up to Kelsey still this year.
Yeah.
Because, granted, Kelsey also missed a couple games, 1 or 2 games. So, there's a difference there. But, Hawkinson, it's going to be interesting the next couple of years as we see it kind of a change, because, who knows how much longer Kelsey's going to play.
Yeah.
Andrews is still up there, but you got guys like Hawkinson and Komet and Laporta.
Yeah.
These young
Musgrave, and Musgrave's flashed.
Michael Meyer.
Mayer. I think it's Meyer.
Meyer. I don't know.
I think it's Meyer.
It's Mayer, but
I mean, he was like the top tight end prospect coming out, from Notre Dame. So, and he's flashed. He had that beautiful. I don't know if you saw his touchdown last week.
Did not.
Oh, mossed the guy. Perfect turnaround right over the dude. I mean, it was a beautiful catch.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting. Kelsey's been doing his damnedest to get the some respect for the tight ends. I mean, and obviously there's always at least one truly elite tight end. Kelsey before that, Gronk, and then even a little before that, like Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
Back on the Saints when he was ridiculous. So now that there's more of these guys that like Laporta's for a rookie been amazing,
right?
I mean,
what's Hawkinson third year ish?
No, I think it's 4 maybe
4th year.
But he signed a huge deal with Minnesota too in the offseason or early in the season that made him either top or close to the top. Kind of reset the market,
Yeah.
So
it'll be interesting. It's nice to see them, finally getting their due. It's sad though that some of these tight ends are making more than the stud running backs.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, both positions just take a beating. I mean, if you're going to be an elite tight end, you got to be fast and have great hands like a elite wide receiver.
Yep.
But then you also have to be able to block like an elite right tackle,
Yep.
And you're doing all this stuff, and you're running routes out of a 3-point stance. You're not up at 2 like a receiver. There's so many versatile things you have to do. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I-
it seems like the longevity. I mean, obviously Kelsey's been doing it forever. Andrews has been around for a little while.
Yeah.
You
Tyler
know,
Eifert still.
Eifert, yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know if he's still there, but it just because you think for me, I think of a Bengals tight end. I always because that's kind of when I was really, really getting into it is when he was at the height, of his career. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, tight end. Especially the NFL. I mean, you have to do a lot.
Right.
It's not like a receiver where you're like, all right, I got this route tree on this play.
Right.
I can do this. Oh, I got to throw a crack block on a linebacker, which isn't fun. That's Ocho Cinco trying to crack block Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
So
How does that work?
yeah.
So, moving on to our love 'em, flip 'em, leave 'em segment. And we're going to go quarterback. And of course, I included the one that you chose for this week.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Brock Purdy, we've got Trevor Lawrence, and we've got Baker Mayfield. And, had it been earlier in the season, I think we probably both would have said we were keeping, we were going to love Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I love Lawrence as much anymore.
No, I think I'm flipping him.
Yeah,
I'm flipping him.
I would agree.
Name,
I don't.
Yeah, name. I mean, Yeah.
I mean, he's put up decent stats, albeit last week was horrible.
Bad. Really bad. But
So I mean, you can probably get something for name recognition.
Mm-hmm.
I would be keeping Brock Purdy.
oh yeah.
Best situation. I mean, it's like Garoppolo last year.
Mm-hmm.
Best situation in football, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't care. You've got unquestionably the top running back in football. And some people are going to say, well, Breece Hall or, no.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in a few years. Right now, there is no one as good as CMC.
Yeah.
And then you look at the other tools that he has, Kittle,
Mm-hmm.
Ayuk, Debo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the
Use check.
yeah. It's the complete opposite, except for Kelsey, of what
Mahomes.
Kansas City has.
Yeah.
They've got no receivers other than Rice.
Rasheed Rice.
Their running back is okay,
Yeah.
but not the tools that Purdy has.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting too because like Kansas City is one of those teams that everybody thought was probably going to try and make a move and trade, or
Right.
try and get like Mike Evans was getting thrown around a little bit
Like
there.
Devontae Adams.
That would have been crazy to see him in
Yeah,
that red.
yeah.
But I mean, I agree. Purdy, he's just best situation, probably the best coach out of the three. Three guys, best front office, obviously, because that roster they always seem to have.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And then
whatever
who did
John
they just
Lynch is
who did
doing.
they just pick up? Chase
Young. Yeah.
Chase Young.
Who came out and had an impact pretty much. I mean, it looked a lot better than he did in Washington. So
And that's the funny thing is Washington you'd think would have completely crumbled, yet they won this past week.
Yeah.
In spite of trading away their top two defensive ends. And two of probably the top 10 or 15 in football.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I think Sam Howell's he's gonna be the guy for a little while because that's the only reason they're winning. I mean, without Howell there, I don't think they win anything right now. So but Lawrence has got the name.
Baker, while I love,
he's been okay.
Yeah, he has. And while I love the commercials that he's always done with his wife in the stadium, I mean. I don't.
Well, that was a knock on him, though. A lot of people, when he was, not playing as well in Cleveland, and got run out of Cleveland. You stay out of the commercials and stick to football.
Dude, those were some of the best commercials.
And now they just bankrupt their franchise for a guy who's probably not going to play for him again in Deshaun Watson.
Why do you think not?
He's like I said a couple of weeks ago. He's just got no. He's got no grit to him anymore.
No drive.
I mean, granted, obviously, you break, fracture whatever he did in his shoulder. And the fact he played too, I'll give him some props there. But he had a sprained ankle. That probably would have kept him out. I guarantee he probably would have missed a week because of it, because, it just, people want to blame the money and stuff. But like I brought up all the stuff from, a couple of years ago with, all the allegations and everything that went down with that. I mean, you can tell that he's just a different person after that. So he's just got no grit. I think that was, somebody had a post. It was the biggest bank robbery in the history of the world, and it was the Browns received Deshaun Watson and the Texans received like 3 firsts and like all those picks and everything.
Well, I think the biggest robbery was Deshaun signing a contract.
Well, yeah.
And Jamarcus Russell before that.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about guys coming away with stupid money. And I mean, maybe
Deshaun was that when he was in Houston before all that stuff, was one of the top 4 quarterbacks. I mean, he was really, really good in Houston.
Right.
Winning them games when they had no business winning. Him and DeAndre Hopkins, but Jamarcus Russell, that one was bad. But like I said, Deshaun Watson proved he could be that level of quarterback.
And who did Jamarcus Russell get selected by?
Yeah.
Oakland? Yeah. Great franchise.
Yeah.
So we're going to go love them Purdy, flip them Lawrence, and leave them Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just honestly right now between Lawrence and Mayfield, like if I had to choose on a weekly basis,
you might actually go Baker Mayfield.
It would have to be a matchup, truly matchup based. Yeah. And I think probably more often than not right now, Mayfield's winning.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you've got an opinion on this or think we're crazy, put it in Instagram. Yep. Give us your thoughts on it. And like we had said on Wednesday evening, it's probably your trade deadline. So hopefully you're making the trades that you need to. I know you just made one.
Yep. Sent Mike Evans in exchange for David Montgomery.
Yep. Hopefully that turns out for you, although it either takes you to the bottom or brings you up to,
Not the bottom.
Yeah, not the bottom.
I'm just trying not to get last place at this point.
Right, right. You don't want that douche award.
Golden douche, yep.
Yeah, and unfortunately, none of my leagues, I told you, I wanted to institute, what places have done where they, you have to wear a dress to a
golf
outing or something, but haven't found anyone to do that. So I think that's all we've got for this week. I am Ozzy.
And I'm Austin.
Have a great week.
See ya.